Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of My Cup First podcast. I'm your beautiful host, Kai Smith, and welcome to episode 2. Let's get into it. First of all, guys, I gotta say thank you so much for all of the love and support on episode 1. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate the positive feedback that you guys did give me. It meant the world to me, and it definitely encouraged me to keep on going. I was very vulnerable and transparent in that podcast. And so I thank you guys so much for your feedback. Speaking of feedback, what I want to do is I want to read some of the comments from episode 1 that you guys left underneath the video. So let's get into some of the comments. All right. So I got my phone here. Let's get into some of the comments, guys. Miss Easy said, beautiful testimony, Kai. You never know a person's story until they speak on it. From the floor to freedom. Thank the Almighty for his saving grace. Absolutely. Miss Easy, thank you so much for your beautiful comment. And I love how you said, from the floor to freedom. Absolutely. My Kivia said, love this. Beautiful testimony. Proud of you. Big Kai. Big Kai, not the little one. Thank you, my Kivia. Latasha said, Kai, I'm so proud of you for sharing your story. I'm proud of who you are today despite your past. You are a perfect example of a strong woman. Keep pushing, baby girl. I support you. Thank you so much, Latasha, so much for your beautiful words of encouragement. Yes, thank God for his resilience and helping me to be strong and to get through a time like that. You know what I'm saying? And I do want to add that no matter who's watching tonight, no matter what you are going through, or no matter what you may have went through, listen, you are not a victim of your circumstances, okay? You're not a victim of your circumstances. Do not let life just happen to you. You get up and you happen to life as well, okay? And I was adamant about that, making life happen for me and me happening to life as well. Let's get into another comment. It says, wow, you are a diamond. All that pressure could never make you fool. You are truly extraordinary. I'm so proud of you. You deserve all the good things coming your way. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And then she said that her main takeaway was, when I said in the podcast, needs keep you connected to lack. Wants keep you moving forward. Yes, that was definitely a gem that I dropped. I believe I heard Dr. Cindy Trim said that before, that needs keep you connected to lack and want to keep you moving forward. Absolutely, that's so absolutely true. So make sure you keep what you want in front of you, not what you need. Of course, we got to pay attention to the things that we need, but we don't want to focus on that. But if we pay attention to the things we want, it definitely keep us moving forward. So shout out to the beautiful commenter for her comment. Another comment, this is from Nikki Patterson, said, I remember the Makeup by Kai event from your garage to choice. You really have been doing your thing. So proud of you and glad you are telling your story. So this is one of my friends. She saw me build from the ground up, and she's talking about how I started doing makeup in my garage. That was the first beginning of my entrepreneur journey. And she's also talking about an event that I had for women at Choice International. That was a event space that I did an event at, and so she saw me building from the ground up. And so for her to see me at this point in my career right now and to hear my testimony, she's saying how much that she appreciate me for sharing, and that basically she appreciate seeing me evolve into the woman that I am today. So shout out to Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. Talia said, Kai, I'm so proud of you. Here come Kai, a chain breaker. She said, I love you and congratulations. Thank you so much, Talia. I appreciate you. I love you, friend. I'm going to read one more comment. Let's see. So many comments came in, but I'm going to read one more comment. Miss Angela Hill said, congratulations, Miss Kai. I am so proud of you. Your story is helping so many people, including myself. There are so many takeaways from this episode. Being strong enough to stand up for yourself at such a young age, living through instability and dysfunction, tapping into your life, never allowing your circumstances to become your downfall, taking a job at 16 and not a sweet 16 party, just so that my dreams could become a reality. Chain breaker. This comment right here really got me kind of choked up, because I never even thought about having a sweet 16 party. Like, I never even thought about that perspective. At 16, I was trying to find stability. At 16, I was trying to make a way for myself instead of having a sweet 16 party. I thought that was a phenomenal comment. Thank you so much, Miss Angela, for your words of encouragement. And thank you so much for sharing your takeaways. So many ladies shared the same sentiment as me and said how me telling my story actually helped them as well. Some of them never ever told their story, and some of them was empowered through me telling my story. So shout out to all of the beautiful people that commented and shared their takeaways. Another takeaway that CG, a young lady named CG, she commented on Facebook, and she said that one of her main takeaways was when I said to never look for a savior outside of yourself. Never look for a savior outside of yourself, and how I was the one that I needed. That was a good takeaway. Of course, when I said that, I did not mean God. In a video, I did say that outside of God, don't never look for a savior outside of yourself. And I was pertaining to people, because oftentimes we look for people to come in and save us, or we look for people to kind of like save the day. When honestly, you know what I'm saying, God has given us all of the tools that we need to, look inside so that we could conquer whatever it is that we're facing. Do we need people? Absolutely. But we need the right people in our lives. We need the right connections in our lives. So yes, people are important. But when I said don't look for a savior outside of yourself, I was definitely speaking from experience. Okay, nobody came to save me. I had to look inside and get the tools that God placed inside of me and listen to, the downloads that God was giving me to move accordingly and to get out of a bad situation and turn it around into something good. Okay, so thank y'all so much for y'all comments. Let's get inside of episode 2. I'm excited for episode 2 on tonight. For episode 2, what I want to do is break down my journey at Wendy's, okay? I want to break down my journey at Wendy's because I did speak about how I got my job at Wendy's, and within 3 years, I was able to purchase a bed, get myself off the floor, purchase a bed. I was able to finance a car, and I was able to purchase my own home. I became a homeowner at 19, and I did all of those things at Wendy's, okay, within a 3-year span. So there's so many gems, like I said, inside of my Wendy's journey, all right? And so I want to break that down on tonight, and hopefully something that I say about my story will resonate with you guys and encourage you, all right? So let's break that down tonight. My journey at Wendy's. So how did I get hired at Wendy's? Let's talk about that. I had a classmate that was working at Wendy's, and I asked her to, because she helped me to get on. I had just made 16. I was so excited about turning 16, getting my worker's permit, and getting a job. Somebody who I went to school with was working at Wendy's, and I asked them to get me on. The funny thing about that is I don't believe she really wanted to get me on. She was gatekeeping. She was gatekeeping, girl. She was gatekeeping. She really didn't want to get me on. She was moving slow about it. And she was very apprehensive about it. But what happened was, and this is definitely a gem that I'm about to drop right now. What happened was I had braided her hair. I braided her hair, and a manager at Wendy's saw her hair and asked her who did her hair. And I did her hair. So the manager ended up getting my number so that I could do her daughter's hair. And so although I didn't get hired through the young lady, guess what? My work was in the young lady head, okay? I had braided her hair, and that still opened the door for me to get hired at Wendy's. So I did the manager's daughter hair, and I was able to shoot my shot, okay? Shoot my shot. And I got hired at Wendy's. And I'm saying that to say a couple of things. Number one, how your gift will make room for you. In the first episode, I spoke about how I did hair, right? How I did hair. I always had the gift of doing hair. I did braids. Anything you can name, I knew how to do it. And so the young lady didn't get me on, but my work was a representation for me. And I was able to do the manager's daughter hair, shoot my shot, and that's how I got hired on at Wendy's, okay? Now let's talk about my journey at Wendy's. For me, Wendy's was a phenomenal experience. It was like one of my favorite experiences. Working at Wendy's was one of my favorite experiences. And I always say that working at Wendy's was like a training ground for me. It was a training ground, and it actually was the launching pad to catapult me into my future, even into entrepreneurship. Although at the time I didn't even know that that was going to play a significant part in my future. But guys, every part of your life is always playing a part in your future. Life is always working for you. It doesn't even matter how bad life is, a part of life that's bad, because life is always good. But whatever part of life that's bad right now, or that doesn't feel so good or uncomfortable right now, I'm gonna say uncomfortable, everything is always working for you. Even in my situation, when I was a child overcoming abuse, it was always working for me because it was building capacity inside of me. It was building my mind to think and dream and to get out of a bad situation. So although it was happening to me, the biggest takeaway is that it was happening for me. And so life is always happening for us at all times. Life is always happening for us. Okay. And so back to getting hired at Wendy's, it was my launching pad that was going to catapult me into my future. And I learned so much there. So the first thing I learned at Wendy's, the first thing was how to make a double stack. Okay, how to make a double stack, baby. And I will never forget how to make a double stack till this day, because it was one of the first things I learned. Okay, the double stack come with ketchup, 2 pickles, 2 onions, cheese on top of the meat, and a W with the mustard, baby. Close it up, wrap it up, and it's out of the door. Okay? That was my first sandwich that I learned how to make, and I learned how to do so many things at Wendy's. But what I want to talk about is how I climbed the ladder of success at Wendy's, okay? And this is going to be significant because a lot of people will say, Wendy's? A lot of people will look at a job, or they will look at anything, and they would not see the full potential in that thing, or they wouldn't see the value inside of that. In my case, it was Wendy's. And I saw the value in working at Wendy's. I saw the value in having a job. And what I mean by that is I maximized my potential on that job. I maximized my potential. So I learned how to work the sandwich station. And after that, I was a very inquisitive person. So I was like, hey, can you show me how to work the window? Nobody never said, well, hey, come on, let me train you for the next station. Nah, I was always inquisitive about learning new things. And so I was like, hey, can you show me how to work the window? And sure enough, I learned how to work the window. I learned how to bag the food, make drinks, put the food out. I learned how to work the fry station as well. And then I learned how to work the register. All right. I learned how to work the back window, and that was the register. And I appreciated that because it taught me how to count money. All right. It taught me how to count money. It taught me customer service, how to deal with people. All right. And Wendy's was really, really good about that. Wendy's back then was like the Chick-fil-A now. The customer service was really, really good. They trained us really well. I don't know what they're doing over there now, but back then when I was going through the training, it was awesome. All right. And so I learned how to work the back window, and I learned how to count money there. Okay. And I was a beast for counting the money, baby. I was a beast. One thing I could do, baby, is work some numbers and count a coin. All right. And like I said, it was going to play a part into my future. So I worked the window, learned how to count money, learned customer service. And from there, at the back window, the office where the managers was working at was close to that window. And so I got a glimpse to see how the managers was how they was operating. And so as I was there, I was always paying attention to my surroundings, seeing how things operate, and seeing what my next move was going to be, okay? What my next move was going to be, because I wanted to climb up in the company. Now, I was definitely a workaholic, still a workaholic. And I definitely discovered my work ethic there at Wendy's. I was always reliable. I always worked overtime. Anytime they needed me, I was there. If they didn't say they needed me, I was trying to see how I could add myself to the schedule to work some overtime, because I really, really wanted to I really wanted to make money. And so I did that. But the manager's office was close to the back window that I was working, and I was paying attention to how they were operating and things they were doing, and I started asking questions. And then one day, a manager position came available, right? A manager position came available, but it was available for a new store that was being opened in a city called St. Rose. It was a shift manager position. And so I applied, I started training, and guess what? I got the position to be a shift manager, okay? So this is significant because it don't matter where you are in life, make sure you climbing the ladder of life. And life is just that way. That's how life is. We should never be staying stagnant. We should never be staying complacent. We should always be looking to grow and climb the ladder of life, climb the ladder on a job. And that followed me on every job that I went on. If I started at the bottom, some kind of way I found myself in the leadership role. I always found myself in the leadership role or a supervisor role. Your girl just been a boss, okay? I was a boss. I am a boss. I'm the boss. All right. And so I was able to get into a manager position. And that's how I climbed the ladder of success at Wendy's. All right. Now I'm going to switch gears a bit and I want to get into how I purchased my first home because that was amazing how God did that as well. At this time, I am 18, and I heard somebody talking and they said, this girl at Walmart purchased a home. She became a homeowner and she was only 21 years old. And I was like, really? They was like, yes. So I jumped in the conversation and I wanted to learn how she did that. And it was just a casual conversation. And I wanted to learn how she got a home at the age of 21 working at Walmart. So I found out who she went through. And guess what? I was like, I'm going to apply. Now, everybody around me was like, you too young. You think you're going to get a house, girl? You're not going to get no house. I said, shit, I'm going to give me a house. Yes, I said, shit, I'm going to give me a house. And if I don't, it's worth the try. You're just 18. You're just 18. You're young. You work at Wendy's. And all of them was looking at my circumstances. They was looking at my circumstances. But I had crazy faith, okay? I had crazy faith because God had already showed me, you know what I'm saying, what he was capable of, you know what I'm saying? And I knew what I had in me at this point, what I was capable of. And so anyway, I applied for the home loan and I got approved for $100,000 home loan, right? I got approved for $100,000 loan. And that was so amazing how God did that. And I want to say that, you know what I'm saying, you know what's in you. You know what's in you. And you got your own faith. You got your own relationship with God. See, you see, people, they'll look at your circumstances. So they was looking at my age. They was looking at the job I was working on. You know what I'm saying? They was looking at my circumstances. But I always saw myself further than where I was. And I knew that God is God. Baby, let God be God in your life. I think a lot of times people count themselves out. Like sometimes we could count ourselves out because of the circumstances. That's why we got God. God is God. Because he put the super on top of the natural. That's what I always say, that God put the super on top of the natural. Anyway, I got approved for $100,000 home loan. And God walked me through that whole process. And he granted me favor through that whole process. And so I never forget this lady named Ann Harvey, Miss Ann Harvey. She was a godsend for me. She was my agent and she was also my seller. So I got the $100,000 home loan. I started looking for homes, and I saw some beautiful homes. But at the time, I didn't know that Miss Ann Harvey had her own properties as well. So she took me to this house, and it was a bit smaller than the other homes, and it needed to be renovated. So when she took me into that house, she was like, "What you think about this house right here?" I was like, "I don't like it. It's really not me." So she was like, "I tell you what." She said, "This is one of my homes." I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah." She said, "If you give me a chance, just give me a chance." She said, "We're going to renovate it. We're going to make it very beautiful for you. We're going to make everything nice, brand new, just for you." She said, "It's going to help you also, especially with the numbers." You know what I'm saying? It's going to help you with the numbers, especially when it comes down to the closing costs. And I was like, okay, cool. So they fixed up the house. They renovated it. And I went back to see it, and it was absolutely beautiful. Like she did her big one with that house, and I was excited about it, so I was on board. Miss Ann Harvey, she was such a blessing. She was so proud of me because I was one of the youngest people to get that she's ever sold a house to, or she was even an agent to. And so I got approved for the loan, and it's a process with that. It's a process we're going through that. And so I was so worried about the closing costs, right? I was like, oh my God. Everybody was like, the closing costs for homes be high, stuff like that. So what I did was I made go get a second job, y'all. Now, why I'm trying to be God? Somebody said, Kyle, why are you trying to be God? Why? If God gave you the $100,000 home loan, you don't think He gonna see to the end and make sure you get into that house? Anyway, I went and get a second job. I was still a manager at Wendy's, of course, and then I started working for the school board to make some extra money to make sure that I had my money for the closing costs. And so time passed, and Miss Ann Harvey called me. It was time to close on the home, right? And when she called me, she's like, Kai, I got the numbers for the closing costs. I was like, really? She was like, yes. I was like, how much is it? And so she was like, you ready? I was like, yes, the suspense is killing me. How much is the closing costs, girl? Because I need to know if I got enough money. Okay. So guess what? Pause the video and type in the comments how much you think my closing cost was. How much you think my closing cost was? Type in the comments how much you think it was. You guys will never guess how much the closing cost was. I'm going to say it in her voice. Kai, your closing cost is a whopping, I was like, a whopping what? She had me in suspense, guys. She said it's a whopping $2.12. Like, what? She was like, yes, your closing cost is $2.12. Now, y'all, tell me that ain't nobody but God, okay? God had favor all over the whole process. I went to go get a whole second job, and my closing cost was $2.12. As a matter of fact, I still got the carbon copy part of that check where I wrote that check out at the closing. $2.12. And man, it was an amazing journey. And I went through what I went through, but God was working behind the scenes the whole time, preparing a place for me, preparing a blessing just for me, preparing the way just for me in a way that only God could do. And I want to say that whenever God opened a door, there's nothing nobody could do about it. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know what kind of situation you may be in right now, but the favor of God, I'm telling you, the favor of God is something that nobody can live without. Nobody can live without the favor of God. You know what I'm saying? God is so amazing. $2.12 was my closing cost. So I went to closing. It was just so beautiful. Everybody had gifts for me. They was just so proud because I was so young getting my house. And at this time, it's January. So now a new year rolled around and it's January. I started the process when I was 18, 19. I was 19. And January rolled around. No, I guess I started the process when I was 19. 18 or 19. Anyway, January rolled around and we went to closing. I got the keys to my home. And I was so excited to have the keys to my home. The next month I made 20. So I must have been 19 when I started the process. But either way it go, y'all, my journey at Wendy's was amazing because I climbed the ladder of success. Not only did I climb the ladder of success and I learned so much, I also maximized my time there at Wendy's, okay? And I want to tell you guys, don't despise small beginnings, okay? Don't despise small beginnings. Don't look at something and see how small or insignificant it is. Look at something and see how much you could get out of it. I carry that principle with me till this day. Until this day, I carry that principle with me. Maximizing the moment. Just like makeup. I became an entrepreneur, right? By happenstance. Well, it was by God, but I had never dreamed about it. But I have taken makeup and I have created 6 to 7 streams of income from that one thing. And that's just an example how you can take one thing and you can maximize it. All right. And that's why being authentically you is super important because nobody can think like you. Right. Nobody can think like you. You got your own dreams in your mind of what you want to do. Keep your dreams in front of you. Keep what you want in front of you because that's what's going to get you to your destiny. All right. And so God was so amazing through my whole journey while I was working at Wendy's. And like I said, I was able to purchase a bed. And I took that same bed that I purchased, and that was my bed for my home. Y'all know I financed a car also while I was at Wendy's. That was a significant journey as well because I was a first generation for everything when it came down to, my life and the family that I came from. I was a first generation for everything. I was a first generation. I had a home before my parents had a home. You know what I'm saying? So I became a homeowner before my parents even did. I never had an apartment or none of that. I went straight from the place that I was raised straight into home ownership, and that was nothing but God's favor on my life. And so, yeah, I took the bed and I put that bed in my house. And what I wanted to say was, whenever you are the first to do something, it could be challenging, but that's the call on your life when you are the first. And I said in the first episode how I was a chain breaker. Absolutely, I am definitely a chain breaker and the first to do it. And so now that I know who I carry that with honor. You know what I'm saying? I carry that with honor. But just make sure that you are always discovering yourself, discovering new things about yourself and going with it. All right. I was talking to my daughter, and we just came from Atlanta and we was riding, and she was saying, Mom, there's just so many things that I want to do. So many things that I want to do. I said, do all of it. Do all of them. And she was like, you're right. I said, because that's what I did. She was like, you're not lying, Mom. You did all of it. And I did, y'all. I discovered how to do hair. I told you I sing. I write music. I could draw. I could paint. I crochet. I used to crochet hats and sell hats. And eventually, my art led me to where I am now. And although I'm going to break down my entrepreneur journey in another episode, I just really wanted to say, you know what I'm saying, to not just look over and skip over your abilities, your gifts, your talents, your ideas, and even your imagination. So my question to you tonight is, what do you want? What do you want? All right. And then what do you have? What do you want? Where you want to go? And then what do you have? What gifts do you have? All right. And is that something that you're overlooking? You know what I'm saying? So I want you to think about that. Think about that. Start writing down the things that you want, where you want to go, who you want to be, and then start writing down the things that you have. When I say that, I mean, what gifts do you have? Like I said, I was able to do hair, sing, all of those things. So that's what I mean. What do you have? Okay. Because all not a lot of times, but most time, all the time, we always have the tools that we need in our toolbox. But a lot of times we look over the tools that we have. So whatever you need is inside of you, so that you could get to the place that you want. All right. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about my relationship with God and how that came to be. And I was introduced to God by an older cousin. Now back to my grandmother's house. Let's go back to my grandmother's house. I told you guys that they had a lot of people there. They had a lot of kids there. But out of all of the kids, my cousin, she's like the age with my mom. She gave me this book, this green book called Prayers That Avail It Much. Let me know if y'all know about that book. Out of all the kids there, she gave me the book, Prayers That Avail It Much. And that was my introduction to God. And I knew God was with me when I look back now, because out of all of the kids, she gave me that particular book. And I needed it. I actually needed that book. You know what I'm saying? And that introduced me to prayer. That particular book, it introduced me to prayer. And my cousins used to laugh at me because I used to sit them down and I used to, read the book to them like I was a Sunday school teacher or something. But I used to read the book to them. That's how I was introduced to God. Now, I also had an uncle, my Uncle Kevin. He was also a preacher. Well, he is a preacher. He's a preacher, and he used to pick us up on Sundays to take us to church. And I love my Uncle Kevin so much. He has been an amazing example of being a man of faith and introducing his family to God. And so I know I was chosen because, like I said, out of all of those kids there, she gave me that book, and I really, really needed it. And that's how I got introduced to God. And my faith has been, so strong in God. But I knew that God already created me for this journey. God created me for this journey, and he placed inside of me all of the tools that I needed. But I just wanted to add that how I got my relationship with God. And it was through that book, Prayers That Avail It Much. Okay. And then I want to talk about, destiny steps, how everything that we go through is working for us and preparing us for the place that we are supposed to be going next. Okay. And so I hope that this episode was a good episode. I feel like I was a little bit all over the place, but y'all bear with me. I'm gonna just do what God told me to do. I'm gonna show up here every week and it'll get more better and it'll get polished. And I'm saying that to say, baby, guess what? If you got something that you're trying to start and you want to start, just do it. Don't worry about perfection, but worry about progress, okay? That's another sidebar. Progress over perfection. I'll get polished later, but for now, this is what I got. You heard me, My Cup First podcast. I also want to say that I am wearing our merch today. This is some of our merch. This is a sweatshirt that I'm wearing with my logo on it, My Cup First logo. It is very fire. It's very beautiful. So we got sweatshirts and we got t-shirts, black and white. We also got jewelry coming out as well. So you guys stay tuned for that. By the next episode, we should have t-shirts ready for sale. I know I went live and a lot of people said that they wanted to wanted to buy the t-shirts and the sweatshirts. So I have that ready for you guys. But let me know what your main takeaways were from this episode in the comments. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of My Cup First podcast. As always, I hope that my voice empowers you to speak. I hope that my life empowers you to live. And I hope that my healing empowers you to heal. Until next time, I love you and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.